Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this sign for our son's room. Our son is due on April 4th. We're super excited to be adding a little boy to the family, so I wanted to make him a special sign. We do have the plans available for this on our website, and all the tools used in this video are linked down below. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off by applying some double-sided tape to the back of this 1/2-inch plywood, and then putting it down on the Stepcraft M700 CNC machines. This is one of the few desktop-sized CNC machines that has the option for an automatic tool changer, and it's definitely a really nice feature and speeds things up quite a bit. I'll pick up the 1/8 inch compression bit. Compression bits have a upcut portion and a downcut portion of the bit so that you get a clean top and bottom surface of the material. Especially with plywood, it's very important to do that. It doesn't work for all sorts of cuts, as the first pass has to be below the upcut portion of the bit, otherwise you'll end up with some tear out, just like if you were using an upcut bit. We'll take 2 passes through this 1/2-inch plywood to get to the full depth, and it goes through at about 40 inches per minute is what I have it set at here. This one is in real time, just to give you an idea of what that looks like, and then we'll cut out the circle. This will be the main piece for the entire sign, and what everything will stick to. I wanted to make sure that I got that kind of wavy grain in there for the top of the sign, as that is what will be visible. We'll get it pulled off the CNC. I'm not entirely sure why I used tabs there, as I definitely didn't need to. The double-sided tape sticks really well. And here you can see what that compression bit does, leaving that clean top and bottom surface. So we'll get some more double-sided tape applied to some 1/8 inch Baltic birch plywood, and this will be for everything else. So we got that applied down to the CNC, and we'll drop the compression bit off and pick up a 1/16 inch downcut bit. If you love this type of content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and go ahead and hit that bell so that you'll be notified on all of the new videos when they're released. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at ToolsToday. So this will display the tool database. This is what I currently have in there. The downcut action of the bit will leave a clean top surface. We don't need to worry about the bottom surface here. I went through, did the pockets first, and then cut out the profiles with the name. I picked up the top of the eye so that I wouldn't lose it while it was cutting, since it popped out, and then we'll go through and cut the trees for the sign. This 1/16 inch bit is a really small diameter, can definitely pick up a lot of the fine detail in your design. So this one worked out well, and it's always really cool to see the sawdust all come off to reveal the design. So we did that for all of the other pieces. I'll get those vacuumed off, and then we'll drop off the 1/16 inch bit and pick up a 1/8 inch downcut bit. I could certainly have used the 1/16 inch for everything, but this 1/8 inch downcut bit I can run at a faster speed, and I can take a full depth of cut in a single pass. So I generally recommend doing 1 time the diameter of the bit for most of the bits, and this one is 1/8 inch plywood, so we can cut it all in a single pass. So this is one of the shots from our vlog series. If you haven't seen those, definitely check those out. It kind of goes behind the scenes of what it all goes into making a video. I definitely think it's pretty interesting, and it's definitely worth watching too. So it also gives more information on kind of what we're doing and why we're doing it. So we'll get that all pulled off the CNC machine. Unfortunately, the name did not work out at all, and it kept breaking because of how thin the plywood is. So I decided to take that as an opportunity and make it out of hardwood. So I got some walnut, and we'll switch back out for that 1/16 inch bit, and then we'll cut the same design into there. I wanted to do an onion skinning method on here, so I'm cutting the bare design first, and we will use that to determine whether I have the correct Z height set or not. Unfortunately, I did not, so I had to raise the Z height just a little bit. That way we don't cut all the way through the wood when we cut out the final name piece. So the idea here is that you won't cut all the way through. You'll leave a little bit of material there on the back side. That way the design stays intact, and then I can take it over to the drum sander and remove the rest of the material that's left. We'll get that pulled up. The double-sided tape definitely still stuck down really well. I removed the top of the eye so that it wouldn't get sucked up into the drum sander or anything like that. So we go down in multiple passes, taking off a little bit at a time until we arrive to where it's removed all of that. I dropped it here, so luckily it was made out of hardwood, so it didn't break at all. So that one is ready to go, and I took that opportunity to use the spalted maple to redo his first name. That way it would kind of match and look a little bit more unique with the hardwood versus just the plywood. And this will also allow me to add a roundover on the top of it using the CNC machine. That way we don't have to mess with handling small pieces like this on the router table. So we're dropping that off and picking up the point roundover bit. This is just a 1/16 inch radius point roundover. You can see that it just eases those edges over, making it kind of like hand sanding something over. with the smaller pieces that can be kind of difficult, and especially on the router table, it makes it really difficult to hold anything down. So doing it on the CNC kind of adds a little bit of a safety factor to it as well. So we can get that pulled up off of the CNC bed, and as you can see there again, we did not go all the way through, and then we'll just run it through the drum sander again a few times until it breaks through that onion skin, and we have these pieces ready to go. So all of those are done, and we can get that kind of assembled just to see what everything is going to look like. I really like the look of the hardwood. I definitely think it adds quite a bit to the overall sign, and we can move on to painting, staining, and finishing everything. So using General Finishes Armor Seal in satin, we got all of the hardwood pieces done. Those guys look really nice with that finish on there, and it's a low gloss, so I really like that. So then I'll use the Perfect Gray Milk Paint to do the back sign, and then the Driftwood to do the middle one, and then I'll use Lamp Black for the front one. I really like the contrast between these three pieces, and it looks really nice. I'll use the Emerald green color for all of the trees, and a Spiced Walnut General Finishes stain for the main circle piece. We got all of those ready to go. On special projects like this one, I always write a letter on the back. So this one's going to be no different. So I'm just going to write a note for him that he can read one day when he's a little bit older. So that is done, and we can get all of these pieces glued down. For that, I'm going to be using some Starbond adhesives, thick super glue. This stuff dries pretty quickly, so I just need to hold it down in place for a little bit. And then I also do use some pin nails here to hold everything in place underneath where I'm going to be gluing the next piece on. The trees are getting glued on, and the bear as well, and I'm going to use the black piece as a template because I need to trim those trees up a little bit, that way they are flush to that. I was incredibly nervous about doing this, as there is a little bit of tolerance there where the bearing's touching the wood, so if the wood were to lift, it would cause an issue. Luckily, the micro jig grip block held everything down nice and flat to the router table. All went really well, just a tiny little bit of cleanup work with a knife, and then I used some extra paint with some painter's tape around where I don't want it to paint those, that way everything looked like it was meant to be there. So we got that all glued down, and then I'll just use the circle that we cut out earlier to line up the grain and make sure that I have everything perfectly square on here. So I used a bit of blue tape, and that almost acted as a fence that I could reference up against when putting all of these pieces down. So I got everything installed, and that worked really well, and that glue just dries on its own very quickly. So then I did the same thing for the middle name here, and I used a small tip that comes with all of the Starbond adhesive super glue, and that worked really well for all of these small pieces, getting the glue exactly where I wanted it. So I got everything lined up, and then did the same for all of the other pieces. And that's going to wrap this one up. I'm really happy with the way that everything turned out. I love that the middle name kind of blends into the background, so it's not as noticeable, but the first name stands out. I'll let my daughter help me with putting everything up. We got Eli's sign.
Smooth. A little bit up high.
A little higher?
Left side down.
Yeah, those don't really work on you, do they? Thank you guys so much for watching our video. I really appreciate it. Be sure to check out those links down in the description, and be sure to subscribe to the channel right over here, and check out another great video right over here. Have a great day, everybody.